let's maybe describe these competencies a bit more, just so that you see if you agree. The first one is the whole issue of communication and collaboration as a core competency. The point that we are making with the new curriculum now is that we want our kids to be able to develop the ability to communicate very clearly using whatever medium is convenient at the time. And we need to develop that competency in them, be it speaking, be it writing, be it any other means, through art, through song, whatever other way of them being able to communicate. We need to develop that ability, as well as collaboration, the ability to work together, the ability to work with other people, the ability to interface with others and to collaborate and, arrive at something. That competency of communication and collaboration is all about what I've just said. The other one is self-efficacy. Self-efficacy, many people don't know what that word means. Self-efficacy is basically your belief in your own abilities, okay? Kujiamini in Swahili, okay? Your belief in your own abilities and your capabilities to be able to perform a task. How do we develop self-efficacy? How do we ensure that this is a competency that is developed? How do we ensure that our students have a very strong sense of self-efficacy? If you go back to what I said earlier, remember I said one of the guiding principles is a differentiated curriculum, okay? If you create a differentiated curriculum that celebrates the ability of an individual or that works with a person depending on what they're capable of doing at that time, they develop a lot of self-efficacy. They develop a lot of self-confidence, a lot of kujiamini in what they are doing, okay? As opposed to educating people in a way that they're always feeling bad and inadequate about themselves. And I know a lot of us can relate to this, that we went through an education where you're constantly feeling inadequate and constantly feeling bad about yourself and what you can do. So this is a very core competency here, that we always have people with a very strong sense of self-efficacy, of self-belief in their abilities to do things, whatever that thing is, okay? Very important. The other core competency is critical thinking and problem solving. The ability to basically make judgments, based on situations that are given to them, and to be able to solve problems as they arise. Very important. That's why the way we educate, for those of you who've experienced CBC, you've experienced that we don't just give them the notes so that they write to us the same notes in an exam. No. Instead, we try to put them in situations where they have to think, where they have to solve a problem in order to arrive at a solution. Very important. And we do this right from the youngest of stages. What can they deal with at whatever age, And we keep improving that. The other one is creativity and imagination. There's the late Sir Ken Robinson, very important person if you could learn more about him. Very important person. He unfortunately died earlier this year. Said something, gave a very interesting story about a 4-year-old child who was drawing in a class. And the teacher asked this child, "What are you drawing?" So she said, "I'm drawing a picture of God." Okay? And the teacher was like, "But nobody knows how God looks like." And she was like, "You know what? Just wait for 5 more minutes and you will see the picture of God and how he looks like." Okay? Only a 4-year-old can do that. Okay? Their imagination and their creativity, is amazing. You've seen them. They will cook leaves, they will cook mud, they will do all sorts of things. Their imagination is running wild all the time. Okay? And this is something which we educate out of them. Okay? This is something we educate out of our children. We basically force them to be less and less creative, less and less imaginative. This is what you need to know so that you write it in the exam. This will not help you. This will not be useful to you. This is useless. Don't say that. Don't do this. We do that all the time. We educate it out of them. But the new curriculum is basically trying to promote more creativity, more imagination, because more creativity and more imagination is what gives us WhatsApp, okay, as a tool to use. It's what gives us Uber, for those of you who use Uber, it's what gives us this hand, the hand washing thing that you use your foot. You know, during COVID, the way we've been seeing all these wash stations, that's what creativity and imagination gives us. If all of us were rigidly educated and all creativity and imagination is educated out of us, we can't do some of these things. That's what we're trying to promote with the new curriculum here. The other very important one is citizenship. Citizenship is relatively obvious here in the sense that we are all citizens of this country. We all belong to this nation and we should be able to share it together. So how can you learn to work with all the other people in this nation of ours? The other one is digital literacy. That's a very important competency that needs to be developed. So that right from the earliest ages, our kids are exposed to digital devices and they're able to start using digital devices and developing their digital skills for the simple reason that that is the tool of the future of this century that we are in, okay? Which, for your information, we're almost a quarter way into the 21st century, okay? So it's a critical tool for them. So the ability for us to develop their digital skills, their digital literacy levels to be as high as possible at any time is crucial. That's why as many schools as possible are encouraging the shift towards the digital, okay? So that we develop the skills among our kids. And finally, the core competency of learning how to learn. Very confusing usually to understand what that means, okay? But think about it this way. Do you remember how you learned to be able to maybe do multiplication? Do you remember how you learned that skill? Or do you remember how you learned to be able to cook chapati? Okay? Or do you remember how you learned to be able to do something that you do at work? Okay? If you remember that, are you able to transfer the learning, are you able to transfer that? Like, you know, let me use Eliud Kipchoge as an example here. Eliud Kipchoge is an amazing human being and has done a lot for this country of ours. And he's done it through running. And he has perfected that. Now, if we were to get Eliud Kipchoge right now and tell him, Eliud, you now need to be a chef, okay? Do you think Eliud is going to be a great chef or a bad chef? Okay? My bet is Eliud is going to be an amazing chef. Why? He has taught himself certain things, certain attitudes, certain high-level skills of performance that are needed that are very transferable to the world of being a chef. So, for example, Eliud maybe learned that in order for me to be able to run at the level that I'm running or to be at the top of my sport, I need dedication. So in order to be a chef, I also need dedication. I, for example, need to work with the best people. Okay, he works with his coach, Mr. Sang. So he needs to find also who else can I work with in the world of being a chef. So he will find the best people. He'll also see that, you know what, I also get access to the best information, you know, in my sport, through the sports science, through the various teams he's involved in. He will also try and get the best information in the world of being a chef, okay? So you see, those are things that are transferable. Learning how to learn. You basically remember how you learned something and you transfer that ability into the next thing. As I said, learning how to learn is not very easy to describe it, but it's one of the core competencies in this new curriculum.